On my daughter's wedding day, my husband and I drove 3 hours to the Hamptons estate we'd paid $340,000 to rent, only to find our faces printed on security posters at the iron gates with the words, "Banned, stalkers, call police if spotted." Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the mansion, I watched my only child, Sophronia, the girl I clawed out of foster care poverty to raise, standing beside her future mother-in-law, both of them watching us, being turned away, both of them smiling. 6 hours later, FBI agents dragged my daughter out of her wedding ceremony in handcuffs. Before I tell you how my daughter's perfect day became a federal crime scene, hit that subscribe button right now because this story will show you something most people never see. What happens when unconditional love meets calculated betrayal? Drop a comment and tell me what time it is where you're watching from and what city or country you're in. I want to know who's hearing this story with me. Now let me take you back to where this nightmare began. My name is Delsie Harwick. I'm 58 years old. I grew up in 7 different foster homes across New Jersey, sleeping in laundry rooms, sharing toothbrushes with strangers' children, eating government cheese for dinner. By 35, I owned 3 commercial properties. By 45, I'd built Harwick Construction into a $12 million empire. I did it all for one reason: to give my daughter Sophie the childhood I never had, the life I never had, the security I never had. I paid for her private schools, her summers in Paris, her Manhattan apartment, her Columbia MBA, and when she got engaged to Alaric Caspian Voss, a man whose name sounded like Victorian royalty, I wrote the check for her dream wedding without hesitation. $340,000 for a September ceremony at an exclusive Hamptons estate overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. What I didn't know was that my daughter had spent 8 months systematically erasing me from existence. The 3-hour drive home felt like driving through fog. Merritt's hands gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles turned white. I sat in the passenger seat staring out the window, my phone in my lap, but I wasn't crying. I couldn't cry yet. The shock was too deep. Merritt finally spoke. His voice cracked. "How could she do this? How could our little girl?" "She's not our little girl anymore," I said. The words felt like swallowing glass. "I don't know who she is." My phone rang. Carice Plumley, my attorney. I put it on speaker. "Delsie? How's the wedding?" she asked. I couldn't answer. Merritt answered for me. "We got turned away at the gate. Our own daughter banned us." Carice went silent for 3 seconds. Then she said something that made my blood freeze. "Before you tell me more, you need to hear what I found. I've been investigating Sophie's fiancé's family for 3 months. The Voss family wealth is fake. They're under federal investigation for securities fraud. Alaric's grandfather ran a Ponzi scheme in the 1,980 seconds. They've been laundering money for decades." My heart started pounding. "What does this have to do with Sophie?" "Everything. And Delsie, there's more. Alaric Voss is already married. His first wife is alive." The car swerved slightly. Merritt pulled over to the highway shoulder. His whole body was shaking. "Sophie is marrying a criminal," I whispered. "There's more," Carice said. Her voice was hard now. 3 weeks ago, someone filed power of attorney papers for Harwick Construction with the New York Secretary of State. Those papers give Sophronia Harwick full legal authority to sell, transfer, or liquidate your company. My throat closed. "I never signed those papers." "I know. The signature is forged." "I can prove it." Merritt made a sound I'd never heard before. A broken, animal sound. "She was going to steal everything we built." I grabbed his hand. "No, she tried to steal everything, but she failed." Carice's voice cut through the panic. "Listen to me carefully. The FBI is already investigating the Voss family. We can provide evidence of Sophie's fraud. We can document the conspiracy. But here's what we do. We let the wedding proceed. Then we strike during the ceremony. Maximum legal impact. Maximum public exposure." Part of me wanted to call Sophie right then, to scream at her, to beg her to explain why, but then I remembered her smile through those windows, that satisfied, cruel smile. I remembered the word "stalkers" on that poster. I remembered 27 years of love that meant nothing to her. "What kind of mother am I if I let her do this to us?" I asked. Carice answered immediately. "A mother who finally loves herself as much as she loved her child." I opened my laptop right there in the passenger seat. started pulling up files. Every text message Sophie ever sent, every email, every voicemail. "What are you doing?" Merritt asked. "Building a case. Sophie wanted to erase us. I'm going to show the world exactly who we are and who she is." Then I told Merritt something I'd kept secret for 6 months. I've been recording our phone conversations. I didn't want to believe she was pulling away. I thought if I listened back, I'd understand what I was doing wrong. I found the file, played it. Sophie's voice came through the car speakers. Cold, clear, calculated. "Once the wedding is over and I have control of the company, we'll phase them out completely. They're an embarrassment." Merritt didn't speak for 5 full minutes. Then he said, "Play it again." We listened 3 more times. "That's not our daughter," he finally said. "I don't know who that is. It doesn't matter anymore. We're done trying to understand her. Now we protect ourselves." We drove the rest of the way in silence. When we pulled into our modest Newark apartment complex, the same place we'd lived for 15 years because we'd poured every dollar into Sophie's future, I felt something unexpected. Relief. "This place never mattered to her," I said. "We never mattered to her." "What do we do now?" Merritt asked. I looked at him. My partner. My best friend. The man who'd sacrificed everything right alongside me. We make some calls, and then we watch her destroy herself. Inside our apartment, Merritt and I sat at our small kitchen table, staring at my laptop screen. Carice appeared on video call with 2 of her associates behind her. Her face was serious. "We have 6 hours before the ceremony starts. Here's what we're going to do." She pulled up documents on her screen. "I already have a forensic handwriting analyst's report proving Sophie forged your signature on the power of attorney papers. We have the marriage certificate for Alaric Voss and Elena Corbett from 2019. It was never dissolved. His first wife is alive, Delsie. She's in a psychiatric facility in upstate New York, controlled by the Voss family's so-called charitable foundation." My hands started shaking. "They locked her away?" "Yes, and there's someone who needs to talk to you." A man appeared on screen. FBI Special Agent Marcus Tennyson. His voice was calm but angry. "Mrs. Harwick, what your daughter did to you is personal. But what the Voss family has done is criminal. They operate a $200 million investment fraud scheme disguised as a family wealth management firm. They've stolen from over 300 people, mostly elderly clients who trusted them with their retirement savings." I felt sick. "What does this have to do with Sophie?" "Everything. Alaric was assigned to find a legitimate business to help clean up their reputation. Your construction company was the target. Thessaly Voss researched your daughter for months. The romance was fake. Alaric had a script. The engagement was strategic. Get close to the family, isolate Sophie from you, gain financial control." Merritt gripped the table edge. "The wedding was a setup?" Agent Tennyson nodded. "The final stage. They plan to publicly humiliate you both, then have you arrested on fake stalking charges during the reception. Once you were in custody, Sophie would use those forged documents to sell Harwick Construction to a Voss shell company. You'd be financially destroyed, legally trapped, and socially ruined." I thought I understood betrayal when Sophie smiled at us through those windows. But this was different. This was calculated destruction. My daughter sold us out for criminals. "Not just sold out," Carice said. "She actively participated. Your phone recordings prove she knew about the arrest plan." "Sophie isn't a victim here," Agent Tennyson added. "She's a criminal." The plan came together fast. Agent Tennyson and his team would pose as wedding guests. Carice would enter during the ceremony with legal documents. Merritt and I would watch everything via livestream. The venue's sound system would broadcast the recorded evidence. 200 guests would witness the truth. I called Renata Volkov, the estate manager. "Renata, did Sophie tell you this property was a wedding gift from me?" She hesitated. "Yes." She said you purchased the estate and were signing it over after the wedding. "That's fraud. I never bought this estate. I rented it for 1 day. If the primary client revokes the contract, what happens? The contract becomes void. Everyone becomes trespassers. I need access to your AV system. And when FBI agents arrive, full cooperation. Mrs. Harwick, I've hosted 200 weddings here. I've never seen a bride ban her own parents. Something felt wrong. You have my help. While I coordinated everything, Merritt worked quietly beside me. He pulled up architectural plans from his files, including the Montauk estate. I never designed this building, but Sophie told the Voss family I did. She forged my credentials and my signature, claiming I was an award-winning architect. She didn't just betray us as parents. She destroyed my professional reputation. His voice broke on the last word. When the calls ended, we sat in silence. The apartment felt suffocating. "Do you think she ever loved us?" Merritt asked. "I think she loved what we could give her. I don't think she ever saw us as people." I squeezed his hand. "When this is over, we're leaving, selling the company. Selling everything. We're going to live the life we sacrificed for her." "Where?" "Anywhere but here." My phone vibrated. Carissa's message. "FBI team is in position. Ceremony starts in 2 hours. Are you ready?" I typed back. "We've been ready for 27 years. We just didn't know what we were preparing for." At 4 in the afternoon, 200 guests sat in white chairs overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. A string quartet played Pachelbel's canon. $40,000 worth of flowers lined the aisle. In the front row, Thessaly Voss sat wrapped in Chanel, looking at everything like she owned it all. She did think she owned it. She thought she'd won. In the bridal suite, Sophie adjusted her $25,000 Vera Wang gown. Her bridesmaids, all Columbia friends who'd never even met me, fussed over her veil. The maid of honor smiled and said, "Your mom must be so proud." Sophie's smile didn't reach her eyes. "She couldn't make it. Family emergency." The lie rolled off her tongue like she'd practiced it 1,000 times. In the groom's suite, Alaric drank his 3rd scotch. His best man asked, "You good, man?" "Just wedding jitters," Alaric said. "Everything's riding on today." He wasn't talking about marriage. He was talking about stealing everything we'd built. Agent Marcus Tennyson and 3 other FBI agents entered through the service entrance dressed in formal suits. They blended perfectly with the other guests. Renata Volkov, the estate manager, met them in the kitchen. "The sound system is ready. The bride and groom are in position. You'll know when to move." Back in our Newark apartment, Merritt and I sat watching his laptop screen. A hidden camera showed the entire ceremony site. Carisse appeared on split screen. "I'm 2 minutes from the estate. Are you watching?" "We see everything," I said. The music shifted to Vivaldi. Bridesmaids walked down the aisle in champagne silk dresses. Groomsmen followed in expensive tuxedos. Thessaly Voss stood up, forcing everyone else to rise with her. She caught Alaric's eye and nodded. "This is it. We've won." Then the doors opened and Sophie appeared. She stood alone. No father to walk her down the aisle because she'd told everyone her parents were dead. She looked radiant, glowing, triumphant. She walked slowly, enjoying every second. Guests whispered, "She's stunning. So brave after losing her parents." Sophie reached the altar and took Alaric's hands. He whispered, "You did it. They're really gone. Forever," Sophie said. In our apartment, my hands clenched into fists. Merritt's face turned white. His jaw was so tight I thought his teeth would crack. Carisse asked, "Do you want me to stop this? We can still walk away." I didn't answer for a long time. Then I said, "No. She needs to see this through. She needs to understand what she destroyed." Reverend Patterson smiled warmly at the crowd. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Sophronia Harwick and Alaric Caspian Voss. This is a day of joy, of family, of eternal promises." He had no idea he was standing in the middle of a crime scene. Alaric read his vows from a card. "Sophie, from the moment I met you, I knew you were extraordinary. You're ambitious, fierce, and unafraid to leave the past behind to build the future we deserve." Every single word was about erasing us. Guests cried. Thessaly Voss smiled like she'd already won the lottery. Sophie read her vows next. "Alaric, you showed me a world I never knew existed. A world of elegance, heritage, and belonging. With you, I'm not just loved. I'm transformed. I'm finally the woman I was always meant to be. The woman we weren't good enough to raise." More guests cried. Someone whispered, "Such a shame her parents aren't here to see this." A 7-year-old ring bearer brought platinum bands on a silk pillow. Alaric slid the ring onto Sophie's finger. "With this ring, I thee wed." Sophie repeated it. They were both smiling like they'd already won. Reverend Patterson said, Before we proceed, I must ask, if anyone here knows of any lawful impediment to this marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace. Silence. Guests shifted uncomfortably. The Reverend smiled. Then, by the power vested in me, the main doors exploded open. Carice Plumley walked down the aisle in a black suit. Behind her, 2 FBI agents with badges visible. Behind them, Merritt and me. 200 heads turned at once. Sophie's face went completely white. Thessaly Voss shot to her feet. What is the meaning of this? Carice's voice cut through the silence like a knife. Reverend Patterson, you need to stop. This marriage cannot proceed. The groom is already married. Gasps tore through the crowd like a wave. Alaric's face went from tan to gray in 3 seconds. Sophie grabbed his arm. What is she talking about? Thessaly Voss shot to her feet. This is a private event. You're trespassing. Security. Agent Tennyson stepped forward, badge raised high. FBI. Everyone remained seated. Carice walked to the altar, her heels clicking on stone. She held a leather portfolio with legal documents visible inside. My name is Carice Plumley. I'm corporate counsel for Harwick Construction and personal attorney to Delsie and Merritt Harwick. She turned to face the crowd. I'm here to prevent a crime. She opened the portfolio. Alaric Caspian Voss. On the 12th of June 2019, you married Elena Corbett in a civil ceremony in Brooklyn, New York. She held up a certified marriage certificate. That marriage was never legally dissolved. Elena Corbett is alive and currently residing at Whitmore Psychiatric Facility in Pine Hill, New York. Alaric stammered. That's not, we divorced. No divorce was ever filed, I checked. Elena Corbett is legally your wife, which makes this ceremony attempted bigamy. The crowd exploded into shocked conversations. Someone shouted, Is this true? A bridesmaid turned to Sophie. Did you know about this? Sophie was panicking. No, I don't, Alaric. Tell them this is insane. Alaric looked at his mother. Thessaly's face was stone cold. Carice turned to Sophie. Sophronia Harwick, 3 weeks ago you filed power of attorney documents with the New York Secretary of State, claiming legal authority over Harwick Construction. Those documents bear your mother's signature. Except Delsie Harwick never signed them. Sophie's voice shook. I don't know what you're talking about. Forensic analysis confirms the signature is forged. You committed identity theft and fraud to steal your parents' $12 million company. That's when I stepped forward. My voice came out calm, clear, controlled. Hello, Sophie. Sophie's knees buckled. Guests whispered, That's her mother? I thought she was dead. I'm not dead. Surprised? Mommy, please, there's been a mistake. The word mommy sounded disgusting coming from her mouth after what she'd done. The only mistake was mine. I spent 27 years believing you loved me. She reached for me. I do love you. This is all a misunderstanding. I stepped back. Don't touch me. Agent Tennyson moved forward. Thessaly Voss, the FBI has been investigating your family's investment firm for 18 months. We have evidence of securities fraud, wire fraud, and conspiracy to defraud over 300 investors of $200 million. Thessaly stood defiant. That's absurd. My family has operated with integrity for 3 generations. Your family has operated a Ponzi scheme for 3 generations. We have the financial records. Agent Tennyson continued. Your son Alaric was assigned to find a legitimate business to help launder your family's reputation and assets. He targeted Sophronia Harwick because her mother owns a successful, clean construction company. The plan was to marry Sophie, gain control of Harwick Construction through forged documents, then use it as a front for your illegal activities. Sophie turned to Alaric. You used me? Alaric wouldn't even look at her. A second FBI agent stepped forward with a tablet. We have a witness joining via video call. The screen showed a thin, pale woman in her early 30s. Please state your name for the record. Elena Corbett. I'm Alaric Voss's wife. More gasps from the crowd. The Voss family had me committed to Whitmore facility 5 years ago when I discovered their fraud scheme. They told my family I was schizophrenic. They drugged me. They kept me locked away so I couldn't testify. FBI agents freed me 2 days ago. Sophie stared at Alaric in horror. You're a monster. Alaric's voice turned ice cold. You were a means to an end. Your parents' company was worth taking. You weren't. Sophie slapped him hard across the face. He didn't even flinch. Your parents were right to be ashamed of you, he said. I pulled out my phone. I want everyone to hear something. I nodded to Renata. The venue's speakers crackled to life. Sophie's recorded voice filled the air. Once the wedding is over and I have control of the company, we'll phase them out completely. They're an embarrassment. Blue-collar trash. The Voss family can't know I came from nothing. Thessaly's voice followed. Your parents will be arrested during the reception. We've arranged for them to be charged with stalking and trespassing. By Monday, they'll be financially ruined and legally powerless. Sophie's laugh. Good. They've been holding me back my entire life. It's time they disappeared. The recording ended. 200 people stared at Sophie. A bridesmaid dropped her champagne silk sash on the ground. One by one, guests stood and walked away. No one spoke to Sophie. She fell to her knees in her $25,000 dress. I didn't mean it. I was just trying to fit in. I was just trying to be good enough for them. My voice was emotionless. You were always good enough for us. We just were never good enough for you. Agent Tennyson moved forward with handcuffs. Alaric Caspian Voss, you're under arrest for attempted bigamy, wire fraud, and conspiracy. Another set of agents approached Thessaly. Thessaly Voss, you're under arrest for securities fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and kidnapping. Thessaly spit at them. My lawyers will have me out in an hour. Your lawyers are also under investigation. Good luck. Local police approached Sophie. Sophronia Harwick, you're under arrest for identity theft, forgery, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Sophie looked at me one last time. Mommy, please, help me. I spent your entire life helping you. I'm done. They lifted her to her feet. Her veil dragged in the dirt as they cuffed her hands behind her back. 3 people in handcuffs. Alaric in his tuxedo. Thessaly in Chanel. Sophie in her wedding dress. They were led through the crowd toward police vehicles. Guests filmed everything on their phones. By tonight, this would be viral. But right now, it was just silent. Devastating justice. Within 15 minutes, the venue was nearly empty. Only a few elderly Voss family friends remained, probably complicit in the fraud themselves. Bewildered caterers stood around holding trays of untouched appetizers. Shell-shocked wedding coordinators whispered to each other. The $40,000 floral arrangements looked obscene now, like decorated gravestones. The string quartet packed their instruments in complete silence. Renata, the estate manager, found me standing alone near the altar. Mrs. Harwick, I'm so sorry. If I'd known. You couldn't have known. She fooled everyone. What do you want me to do with everything? She gestured to the massive reception tent, the untouched dinner for 200 people, the 7-tier cake that would never be cut. Carice joined us with legal documents. The primary contracting party, you, Delsie, is dissolving the venue agreement under the fraud clause. The venue keeps the deposit for services rendered and setup costs. But you're released from the remaining $250,000 balance. Renata nodded. We'll dismantle everything tomorrow. I'll ensure no charges are filed against you or your husband. I signed the termination papers. Just like that, $90,000 was saved. The head chef approached nervously. Mrs. Harwick, we were contracted through your daughter. Will we be paid? I looked at Carice. She shook her head. The credit cards Sophie used for deposits are all connected to her personal accounts, which are now frozen by the FBI pending investigation. You'll need to file claims with the court. The chef looked defeated. So we're out $30,000 in labor and food. I hesitated. Then I said, send your invoice to Harwick Construction. I'll pay you. You did nothing wrong. He stared at me, stunned. After everything she did to you? You're a small business owner like me. I don't punish people for my daughter's crimes. While I handled logistics, Merritt stood at the altar holding the abandoned wedding rings, $50,000 platinum bands. He turned them over in his hands like he was trying to understand how something so expensive could mean so little. Agent Tennyson approached. Those are evidence, Mr. Harwick. Merritt handed them over without a word. Then he said quietly, she told them I designed this estate. She forged my credentials. My professional reputation. We have that documented. You'll be fully exonerated, and if you want to pursue separate legal action, I just want to forget she exists. News vans pulled up to the estate gates. Word had already spread somehow. Reporters shouted questions. "Mrs. Harwick, can you comment on your daughter's arrest?" I ignored them. Carice stepped forward. "The Harwick family has no comment at this time. All questions should be directed to the FBI's press office." But the damage was done. Cameras captured my face, Merritt's devastation. By tonight we'd be dissected on cable news. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Business partners, friends, distant relatives who hadn't called in years. I ignored all of them except one. Martine, my chief operations officer. "Delsie, I just saw the news. My God, are you okay?" "No, but I will be." "Do you need me to do anything? Protect the company?" "Yes. Call an all-staff meeting for Monday. I need to address the fraud attempt and assure everyone their jobs are safe." "Delsie, are you coming back?" I didn't answer for a long time. "I don't know." Merritt and I returned to our car. The same car that brought us here 5 hours ago. Everything had changed. Merritt drove. I stared out the window. Halfway home, I finally spoke. "I'm selling the company." "What?" "I built it for her. To give her security, to give her a legacy. She tried to steal it. I can't look at it anymore without seeing her." "What will you do?" "I don't know. But it won't be this." We arrived home as the sun set. The apartment felt alien. We'd left as parents. We'd returned as something else. Merritt poured 2 glasses of whiskey. We sat on the couch in silence. The TV stayed off. The phone stayed silenced. I finally cried. Not sobbing, just silent tears streaming down my face. Merritt held me. "We're going to be okay," he whispered. "Are we?" I asked. He didn't answer because he didn't know. Monday morning, Merritt and I woke to our faces on the front page of the New York Post. The headline screamed, "Wedding Nightmare. Daughter arrested for fraud at $340K Hamptons ceremony." Below that, parents expose criminal conspiracy. FBI arrests groom's family. The photo showed Sophie in handcuffs, her wedding dress dirty, mascara streaking down her face. At 9 in the morning, I stood in front of 47 employees at Harwick Construction Headquarters. Carice stood beside me. "By now, you've all seen the news. My daughter attempted to steal this company using forged documents. She failed. The company is secure. Your jobs are secure. But I need to be honest with you. I'm not sure I can continue running this business." The room went silent. Martine, my chief operations officer, spoke up. "Delsie, you built this from nothing. You can't let her take that from you." She didn't take the company. But she took something else. My ability to look at this building and feel pride instead of grief. Carice stepped forward. "Delsie and I have been discussing an option, an employee stock ownership plan. The company would be sold to you, the employees. You'd become collective owners. Delsie and Merritt would receive fair market value over time, allowing them to step away while ensuring the company's legacy continues." Martine's eyes widened. "You're giving us the company?" "I'm giving you the opportunity to earn it. You've built this as much as I have." Outside the building, reporters camped at the entrance. They shouted questions at every employee who walked in or out. Security had to escort staff to their cars. My phone rang. Unknown caller. I knew who it was. I let it ring 6 times before I answered. "Mom?" Sophie's voice was small and broken. I said nothing. "Please. I need you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't understand what I was doing." "You understood perfectly. You planned it for 8 months. I was scared. I wanted them to accept me. I wanted to be someone important. You were important. To us. That wasn't enough for you. Please don't abandon me. I'm your daughter." "No. You stopped being my daughter when you labeled me a stalker and smiled while I was turned away." "Mom." I hung up. I blocked the number. I would never speak to Sophie again. The FBI held a press conference that afternoon. Agent Tennyson announced the indictment of Thessaly Voss, Alaric Voss, and 12 associates in the largest securities fraud case in New York State history. $200 million stolen from over 300 investors, many of them retirees. A reporter asked, "Is Sophronia Harwick also charged?" Sophronia Harwick faces separate state charges for identity theft and fraud. She's not part of the federal case, but she was complicit in the conspiracy. Social media exploded. Hampton's bride trended worldwide. Some people sympathized with Sophie. She was manipulated by the Voss family, they said. Others condemned her. She tried to destroy her own parents for social status. Memes spread everywhere. Sophie's crying mugshot with the caption, "When you realize blue collar built your whole life." I refused to read any of it. 3 of Merritt's architecture clients called to cancel contracts. "We can't be associated with this scandal," they said. His business partner Leo tried to reassure him. "This is temporary. Once the news cycle moves on." "I don't care. I'm done." "Done with what?" "All of it. I spent 30 years designing houses for rich people who look down on me. I'm tired." "What will you do?" "Something for myself." For the first time in my life. Elena Corbett, Alaric's real wife, gave an interview to a major news outlet. She described 5 years locked in Whitmore facility. "They told my parents I was delusional. They controlled my medication. I couldn't call anyone. I couldn't leave. I thought I'd die there. When the FBI freed me and told me Alaric was about to remarry, I felt sick. Another woman was about to be destroyed by that family. I'm glad she found out the truth before she was legally trapped." The reporter asked, "Do you have any message for Sophronia Harwick?" "I hope she understands that being accepted by monsters isn't an accomplishment. It's a tragedy." A Hollywood producer emailed Carice, wanting to option my life story for a limited series. I responded, "Absolutely not. I'm not entertainment." But the emails kept coming. 13 offers in 3 days. Publishers wanted book deals. Podcasters wanted interviews. Everyone wanted a piece of the story. I deleted them all. Carice met with federal prosecutors. "Sophie will likely get 3 to 5 years if she pleads guilty. If she goes to trial and loses, 7 to 10 years. The Voss family? Thessaly is looking at 15 to 20. Alaric, 10 to 15. They're going to federal prison. There's no question." "Do you want to attend the sentencing?" Carice asked. "No. I want to be as far from her as possible." That night, Merritt and I lay in bed unable to sleep. "Do you think we failed as parents?" he asked. "I think we gave her everything and she wanted more. I think we loved her, and she loved the idea of being loved. I think we did our best and it wasn't enough. But not because we were lacking, because she was. That's the hardest part. Accepting that she's just not a good person. She's not our person anymore. We have to let her go." We held hands in the darkness. For the first time in days, we slept. 3 months later, Sophie stood in federal court in Manhattan wearing an orange jumpsuit. Her hair was pulled back. No makeup. She'd lost 20 pounds. Merritt and I weren't there. We'd chosen not to attend. Her attorney stood and argued for leniency. "My client was manipulated by the Voss family. She's a victim of their influence." The federal prosecutor stood next. "She actively participated in fraud. She forged documents. She planned her parents' destruction. She knew exactly what she was doing." Judge Marianne Okafor looked down at Sophie with stern eyes. "Miss Harwick, I've reviewed the evidence extensively. I've listened to the recordings of your conversations. I've read the forged documents bearing your mother's signature. Your attorney wants me to believe you were manipulated. But manipulation doesn't explain the smile on your face when your parents were turned away from your wedding. It doesn't explain the word trash in reference to the people who gave you everything. You didn't just commit fraud. You committed a profound moral betrayal. I'm sentencing you to 4 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years supervised release." Sophie's sob echoed through the courtroom. 2 weeks later, Thessaly Voss stood in the same courthouse. She appeared defiant, dressed in a prison-issued suit. Her attorney argued the prosecution was politically motivated, but the evidence was overwhelming. Spreadsheets, wire transfers, victim testimonies. The judge spoke. "You stole from retirees, from veterans, from people who trusted your family name. You are sentenced to 18 years in federal prison." Thessaly showed no emotion. As she was led away, she glanced at the gallery. No one from her family had come to support her. 1 week later, Alaric tried to read a prepared statement claiming his mother controlled him. The judge cut him off. "You're 29 years old. You married a woman while your first wife was institutionalized on your orders. You participated in defrauding hundreds of people. You attempted bigamy. You have agency, Mr. Voss, and you'll answer for it. Sentenced to 12 years in federal prison." Elena, his real wife, sat in the gallery. As he was led away, she whispered, "I hope it was worth it." He didn't respond. Over 300 victims of the Voss fraud scheme filed lawsuits. The family estate was liquidated, the Manhattan penthouse, the Hamptons beach house, the art collection. Total assets seized came to $47 million. But it wasn't enough to compensate everyone fully. Victims would receive approximately 22 cents on every dollar lost, a devastation that would echo for decades. Sophie was sent to Federal Correctional Institution in Danbury, Connecticut. She worked in the prison laundry for 12 cents per hour. She shared a cell with a woman serving time for tax evasion. No one visited. Her Columbia friends had all blocked her. The bridesmaids never wrote. Alaric's family wouldn't take her calls. She tried once. She wrote letters to us. Every single one came back unopened. 2 years into her sentence, Sophie's attorney filed for early release consideration. Carice, still representing us, filed an opposition brief. Sophronia Harwick has shown no genuine remorse. Her letters to her parents are manipulative attempts to access their financial resources, not expressions of understanding or change. She has not acknowledged the depth of her betrayal. Early release would be an insult to her victims, her parents foremost among them. The parole request was denied. The New York State Board of Architecture issued a formal statement clearing Merritt of all fraudulent credential claims. Merritt Harwick did not participate in or authorize his daughter's false representations. His professional reputation is intact. 3 of his clients returned with new contracts, but Merritt turned them all down. He'd already moved on. 6 months after the wedding disaster, Harwick Construction officially transferred to employee ownership. I received $8.2 million over a 10-year payout structure. I stood in the conference room one last time and looked at the faces of people who'd worked beside me for years. This company was my whole identity for 25 years. I thought I was building it for my daughter, but I was really building it for you, the people who showed up every day and believed in something bigger than themselves. Martine, now CEO, stepped forward. You gave us more than a company. You gave us dignity. I shook hands with every single employee. Then I walked out of the building and never returned. Merritt and I met with our estate attorney the next week. We're removing Sophronia from the will entirely. The attorney looked up, surprised. Are you sure? She's your only child. She stopped being our child when she tried to erase us. Our assets will go to charity, foster care organizations, small business development programs, and scholarships for first-generation college students. She gets nothing. The documents were signed. It was final. We listed our Newark apartment. It sold in 2 weeks for a profit of $180,000. We sold Merritt's old truck, our second car, most of our furniture. We kept only what mattered. Photo albums with all Sophie's pictures removed, my grandmother's quilt, Merritt's drafting tools, 2 suitcases of clothes. We stood in a Weehawken marina, looking at a 45-foot sailboat. The name painted on the hull read, Emancipation. The salesman smiled. She's a beauty. Perfect for long-distance cruising. Merritt ran his hand along the teak railing. How much? $320,000. We'll take it. We wrote the check with the money we'd recovered from voiding the wedding venue contract. The exact amount Sophie tried to steal was now our ticket to freedom. We spent 3 months in sailing school, learning celestial navigation, weather reading, emergency procedures. Our instructor, Captain Maria, asked one day, "Most people your age are thinking about retirement condos. You two are buying a sailboat. What changed?" We realized we'd spent 30 years sacrificing for someone who never appreciated it. It's time to be selfish. Captain Maria smiled. That's not selfish. That's self-preservation. We planned a 6-month journey. Weehawken to Azores, to Gibraltar, to the Mediterranean. Stops in Lisbon, Barcelona, French Riviera, Amalfi Coast, Greece, Croatia, Montenegro. No schedule, no obligations, just wind and water and each other. Merritt sketched our route on a chart. Look at how far we're going. We've always been going far. We just didn't notice because we were dragging dead weight. My phone rang one last time. Blocked number. I almost didn't answer. Then I did. Mrs. Harwick? I have Sophronia on the line. She'd like to speak with you. Silence. Then Sophie's hollow voice. Mom, are you there? I'm here. I'm getting out in 3.5 years. I need to know, Will you help me when I'm released? I'll have nothing. No job. No place to live. You need to understand something. I'm not your mother anymore. You made that choice. But I'm your daughter. No. You were my daughter. Now you're a stranger who shares my last name. When you're released, don't contact me. Don't show up at any address you might find. I've moved. I've changed my life. You're not part of it. Please. I made a mistake. I've learned. You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. A calculated, cruel choice. And now you live with the consequences. I'll be homeless. I'll have nothing. Then you'll know what I started with. Maybe that will teach you something. I hung up, blocked the attorney's number, turned to Merritt. That's the last time. Are you okay? I'm free. A week later, early morning, fog rolled off the Hudson. Delsie and Merritt loaded the last supplies onto Emancipation. Martine arrived to see us off. I still can't believe you're doing this. Neither can I, but it feels right. Carice was there too. I filed the final paperwork. Sophie has no legal claim to anything. Your estate, your company, nothing. You're completely severed. She can't touch you. We untied the dock lines. The engine rumbled to life. Slowly, Emancipation pulled away from the marina. I stood at the helm, Merritt beside me. Behind us, the New York City skyline faded into morning mist. Ahead, open ocean and infinite possibility. Any regrets? Merritt asked. Only one. I wish I'd done this 30 years ago. We weren't ready 30 years ago. We're ready now. As we passed under the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, I spoke. I built an empire for a daughter who despised me for it. I sacrificed my dreams for someone who saw them as embarrassing, and now I'm taking it all back. What are you taking back? My time, my joy, my right to exist without apologizing for who I am. I raised a glass of champagne we'd packed for this moment. To the family we chose to leave behind. Merritt raised his glass. And to the life we chose to live. We drank as Manhattan disappeared behind us. 6 months later, we sat on the deck of Emancipation, anchored in crystal blue water off Santorini Harbor. White buildings cascaded down volcanic cliffs. We were tanned, relaxed. We looked 10 years younger. We'd survived a storm off Portugal that was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. We'd celebrated my 59th birthday in Barcelona with paella and flamenco. We'd met other sailors, a Norwegian couple named Henrik and Ingrid, a retired French teacher, a Brazilian family. We'd learned celestial navigation by stars we'd never noticed before. We'd discovered Merritt could cook. He'd never had time before. We'd talked, really talked, for hours every day. We'd healed. I opened my laptop to check email. We had satellite internet for emergencies. One message from Carice. Thought you'd want to know. Sophie's parole hearing was denied again. She'll serve the full sentence. I showed Merritt. How do you feel? He asked. Nothing. I feel nothing. And it was true. No anger, no satisfaction, no grief, just emptiness where my daughter used to be. I deleted the email. Merritt had been writing postcards at every port. Not to send, just to document our journey. He showed me the latest. Day 187, Santorini. The sunset is the color of Delsie's hair when we first met. We drank wine on the deck and watched dolphins. I haven't thought about Sophie in 3 weeks. I think that means we're finally okay. Can I see the others? He handed me the stack. 47 postcards from 47 ports. I read them all, tears streaming down my face. You've been healing this whole time. I didn't realize. We both have. We just heal differently. Do you ever wonder what she's doing right now? I asked. No. Liar. Merritt smiled. Okay, yes. Sometimes. But then I remember she made her choice. We made ours. And ours is better. Do you think she regrets it? I think she regrets getting caught. I don't think she regrets trying. That's what I think too. Henrik and Ingrid sailed up in their catamaran. Delsie, Merritt, join us for dinner on shore. We found an incredible taverna. We'd met them 2 months ago in Sicily. Real friends. People who knew nothing about our past, who liked us for who we are now. We'll be there in an hour. Merritt smiled. This is what family should feel like. Chosen, joyful, safe. As we dressed for dinner, I asked, do you think we'll ever go back? To New Jersey? To America? Do you want to? I thought about it. Maybe. Someday. But not to who we were, only to who we've become. Then we'll go back when we're ready. No rush. The taverna was built into the cliff overlooking the caldera. 8 sailors gathered. The Norwegian couple, the French teacher, a German photographer, us. We shared food, wine, stories. No one asked about our past. We were just the American couple with the beautiful sailboat. For the first time in 27 years, I introduced myself without mentioning being a mother. I'm Delsie. I used to build things. Now I sail. It felt like truth. After dinner, Merritt and I walked to the cliff edge. The sun set over the Aegean. Gold, orange, crimson. Tourists crowded around for photos. We stood quietly, holding hands. I love you, Merritt said. I love you too. I think I forgot that for a while, when all I could think about was her. We're remembering now. We returned to emancipation as stars emerged. We lay on deck, looking up. Do you think she'll ever understand what she destroyed? I asked. Does it matter? No, I suppose it doesn't. Silence. Then I said, Merritt? Yes? Thank you for staying, for not leaving me when I was drowning in her. We were drowning together. We just didn't realize we could swim. Morning came. We raised anchor. Next stop, Croatia. As emancipation cut through blue water, I opened my journal and began to write. Sophie wanted me to disappear so she could become someone else. Instead, I disappeared to become myself. She's in a cell. I'm free. Justice isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just this: a sailboat, a horizon, and the choice to leave poison behind. I spent 58 years building a life for someone who didn't want it. Now I'm spending the rest of my life building a life for me. And it's the best thing I've ever made. I paused and looked out at the endless blue water ahead of us. Somewhere, 4,000 miles away in a concrete cell in Danbury, Connecticut, Sophie was waking up to her 4th year of prison. She was folding laundry for 12 cents an hour. She was staring at the walls. She was holding a creased photo of the parents she destroyed, finally understanding what she'd lost. But it was too late. Some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. I closed the journal. Merritt smiled at me from the helm. The wind filled our sails, and we sailed on toward our new life, leaving the ashes of the old one behind us forever. The end. Now I want to ask you something. If your child betrayed you the way Sophie betrayed us, could you ever forgive them? Would you give them a second chance when they got out of prison? Or would you sail away like we did and never look back? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know where you stand. And if this story taught you something about unconditional love and when it's okay to walk away, hit that like button and subscribe, because next week, I'm sharing the 3 warning signs that your family member is planning to betray you and how to protect yourself before it's too late. You don't want to miss that.